this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart episode by episode the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast, so we always bring up spoilers because we always talk about things in relation to things that will happen, things that have happened, etc.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot in this episode where something could come up that'll get spoiled. But yeah, this week we're talking about Season 3, Episode 18.
The Murder of One.
Thank you. I totally blanked. Yeah, the murder of one. I should have remembered because there's a pretty one murder that's significant.
Yeah, that becomes the murder of many.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of
ways.
It
becomes the murder of many. So it's hard to say who the murder of one really is
speaking
about.
Of the murder of many.
Yeah,
the murderer of many.
The murderer of many, yeah.
As we should say. Alaric. At his apartment, we don't see him at first. We just see it's morning. Mm-hmm. Elena is walking up the stairs towards his apartment, and she's carrying coffee and muffins, presumably for Alaric, who has been in house arrest since he's killing people. And she knocks on the door, but Damon answers, and he says, "Morning, sunshine," and she says, "Hey, how's Alaric?" And Elena moves to, enter the apartment, but Damon, closes the door to block her way, so he's standing in the only entrance. So not only can she not enter the apartment, but she can't even really see into it. And Damon says that Alaric is indecent, but he is fine. And Elena asks, does that mean there were no issues last night? And Damon says, no, he slept like a baby. He woke up Alaric. And Elena asks, then why do I feel like you're hiding something from me? And Damon tells her, well, maybe because you're all paranoid and control freaky. And then he, asks, what'd you bring me? And he steals the bag from her. And he, sniffs it. And it's like, ooh, muffins. You know what they say, a way to a psycho killer's heart is through his stomach. And Elena takes the bag back, telling him that they're not for him. They're for Alaric. And Damon says, fine, keep convincing yourself you're still mad at me. But sadly, Rick's going to have to miss his Elena time today. You know, lockdown and all. And Elena gives him the bag saying, just give it to him and tell him that I miss him. And Damon says, with pleasure. And he shuts the door on her, cutting her off.
Yeah.
When she's like, Damon, obviously she wants to see Alaric. As we saw in the last episode, she's pretty lonely right now. But he's not even giving her that. He closes the door and he walks into the apartment, and we see Alaric and Stefan are standing there with,
a saw.
Yeah.
A table saw.
Equipment.
Yeah.
And they have the Wickery Bridge sign that they're obviously cutting up to make stakes. But they're not doing it yet. They're just kind of listening. Damon's listening. And he's, narrating that Elena's, walking down the stairs, out the door, and she's in the clear. And as soon as she's gone, and now they know they can get away with it, Alaric turns on the saw and starts, cutting the sign up. Oh, yes. The psycho killer who's on lockdown. Let's give him the power tools.
Yeah, let's give him a huge saw. Get him making vampire weapons.
Yeah, have dozens of wooden stakes all over the place.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Don't know what they were thinking there, but title screen, it's an epic opening.
Yeah, the music playing is really good. Yeah. And then, after the title screen, we see Damon, Alaric, and Stefan. They've, cut it up enough. They've got stakes that are, actually coming together. And Stefan looks at one of the stakes and says it needs to have a sharper point.
Of course, he's the quality checker.
Of course, yeah. And he hands it to Damon, who says, he'll make it sharper. There's, a huge pile of, wood shavings. They could definitely
be collecting those.
Yeah, they could definitely be doing something.
I don't know.
Yeah, something. Plywood, some sort of thing. I don't know. But anyway, Damon tells him to, stop micromanaging. And then Alaric puts on his jacket and is like, I gotta go call the sheriff.
Yeah.
And Damon and Stefan look at him and are like, what? And Alaric says, he wants to turn himself in.
Yeah.
And Damon is like, no, you don't. And Alaric tells him, basically, unlike some people in this room, I would like to take responsibility for the people that I've killed. And Damon says, I mean, if you wanted to turn yourself in, you wouldn't be saying it out loud. Just saying.
Yeah.
Probably true. And Alaric is like, of all people, Damon, you should not be psychoanalyzing me. And he goes on to say, he killed Caroline's father and nearly killed Meredith. Everything has changed. He can't, I feel like he's finally accepted he really did do this. And,
and how can you just,
you can't just live with this.
Yeah, pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah. And Stefan is like, look, you're not turning yourself in. Bonnie's herbs are working. We have originals to kill. No.
Yeah.
And Damon just kind of comments that, Stefan's morals get questionable when he has revenge on the brain.
True.
And Stefan just says, Klaus needs to die. We finally have the chance to kill him. You're not turning yourself in. We need you.
Yeah.
And Damon gets up and turns to Alaric, hands him his ring, and tells him to put it on. And Alaric is like, that ring is the reason I've killed people. What? But Damon says, it's also the reason you're alive. Like, you're going vampire hunting. Just wear it. And he takes the ring and puts it on.
Oh, boy.
I know we established having the ring on doesn't, or having it off, I mean, doesn't, like, stop you from being a psycho, but...
I wouldn't put it back on.
No, I definitely wouldn't put it back on. He's just got to take the risk here, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Damon's judgment is, usually, and especially currently...
Not great.
It's questionable.
Yeah.
As is like the putting the reliance on the herbs. How Stefan's just like, you've got the herbs. They're working.
They're fine.
It's fine.
You're good.
This is contingent on him actually taking them twice a day, which every time you force him to do.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I love the return of angry, tough revenge Stefan in
I
the
know.
scene.
I do like that too.
I don't care. We're taking him down. Like, so focused. As we'll see in the next scene. In the woods, Caroline and Elena are just like walking through some trees, and clearly Elena has just revealed to Caroline that Alaric was the one that killed her father.
Yeah.
Poor Caroline. This is obviously such like a hard thing to wrap your head around generally and to have to hear, and it, you know, you never want to be in this situation with either any of the people involved. But Elena tells her like, I can't expect you to be okay with this. But at least the herbs that Bonnie's giving him are healing him. They are, like, keeping his dark side away. Mm-hmm. You know, she's trying to console her. And Caroline says, like, that's supposed to make everything okay. And Elena grabs Caroline's arm and, like, faces her. And Caroline is, like, teary-eyed. Like, she's upset, obviously. And Elena says, no, it's not okay. It's horrible, and I feel horrible about it. But he's a victim of something supernatural. He didn't ask for this. It just happened to him, just like Bonnie's mom. I mean, she didn't ask to become a vampire, and neither did Stefan or Tyler. And Caroline tacks on, or me. And Elena agrees, or you. None of you asked for this, but who would I be if I just turned my back on any of you?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's interesting she doesn't say this, but Elena's in the same boat as the doppelganger. Like, she's this supernatural thing that people are all dying because of her. All these things happen because of who she is, and it's not that's the reason this all started.
Yeah.
And it's not her fault either. But either way, this is enough to, like, you know, persuade Caroline, who moves to Elena's side and wraps her arm around her shoulders. And they start to walk off, and she says, oh, Elena Gilbert, savior of the cursed and the damned.
Yeah.
So sweet. Clearly being like, Elena said the right thing. That, like, it's fair to, like, not be okay with it. But at the end of the day, it's not Alaric's fault.
Yes.
So they're starting to walk, and then Matt appears in the
jump
woods.
scare.
Yeah, they're all in the middle of nowhere, and Matt just appears. He's like, hey,
what's up?
Yeah, casual meetup. He asks, what's with the cryptic secret message, like, text message? And Elena's like, I don't know. Stefan just said to meet here. On cue, Stefan and Damon show up, and immediately Stefan's like, where's Bonnie? I texted Bonnie too. Mm-hmm. And Caroline explains that Bonnie's mom bailed on her again. And so she says, I think we should leave her out of this one. And Matt asks what they're doing there, and Damon replies, we found more white oak. Long story, wait for the movie. This is a great, like, response. And Elena's immediately like, hang on. White oak, you have a weapon that can kill Klaus? And Stefan says, no, we all have a weapon. And he throws a duffel bag full of the white oak stakes on the ground in front of all of them.
Game on.
The game on. The Master Originals killing team has assembled. Stefan, Damon, Elena, Caroline, and Matt Donovan.
Yeah.
You know who you want to take down the
originals. You know when you're going that deep into the bench that you pull off Matt Donovan? It's like, the plan is doomed from the start.
Yeah, we're going off, it's like 5 versus 5 or whatever right now. And
and one of them is Matt Donovan?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Questionable. Although, we'll eat our words later.
That's true. It does end up working, and it would have worked but for, Bonnie, but... Yeah. But anyway, in some random city, unknown city, Finn is walking down the street when Klaus rolls up beside him and starts, like, walking in step with him. And Finn is just like, I have nothing to say to you. And Klaus says, well, I'm not here to chat. I'll just ask you one time, though, where's our mother? And Finn tells him that she's gone to find another way to end our abominable lives. And when she does, I'll sacrifice myself all over again. And Klaus is like, well, I need your assistance. And Finn is like, I have no wish to help you, only to see you dead. To which Klaus just says, right, well, you won't be able to see me dead because if I die, then you die. So, wish unfulfilled, I'm afraid. He's very
smart with it.
He's very quippy in this episode.
He is, yeah.
Lots of good dialogue.
I think he just loves having a fight. Like
he really does.
He comes alive when he has an enemy.
Yeah, he really does. It's so true. And Finn tells Klaus to, like, go bother someone else. And Klaus says, why? Why not come bother my big brother? I need you to accompany me back to Mystic Falls. I have a witch there who can help undo Esther's spell that linked us together. Finn, of course, is like, I have no wish to be unlinked. Like, kind of trying to, like, walk away from him. So Klaus moves in front of him and, like, puts his hand on his chest to stop him and says, again with the wishes. Let me rephrase. You will come back with me, or I'll put you in the coffin that you rotted in for 900 years.
Laying down the law.
Yeah. And Finn is basically like, I mean, you might not feel the effects of the dagger if you do that, but you lose Rebekah.
Yeah.
And Klaus is just like, wouldn't be the first time. But Finn walks off and Klaus kind of lets him leave. But then right as he goes down an alleyway, Rebekah cuts in front of him and blocks his path. Obviously, Klaus brought a sidekick. Mm-hmm. And Rebekah's like, let's not make this any worse than it needs to be. And Finn is shocked that she's siding with Klaus. And he's like, Rebekah, he stored us in boxes. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And Rebekah just says, you know, at least he's not trying to make us all go extinct.
Yeah.
And Finn turns around and then Klaus is behind him. So they've cornered him in. And Finn is like, what are you going to do? Kill me? And Klaus says, yeah, that's right. You've got a death wish. Fine. Pathetic, but fine. The thing is, I'm not going to let you take the rest of us down with you. And then he throws Finn against the wall and Finn just crumbles to the ground. And obviously, like, he's knocked out. He's coming with him.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Finn was surprised that Rebekah is on Klaus's side here. First of all, because they're like BFFs. And then second of all, Finn is trying to
kill them.
I'd much rather be in a box for a century than be dead forever. Like,
yeah, of course.
Situation.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
I don't know. I thought that was funny. But also, just so happy Klaus is back. We haven't had him in like a few episodes. As soon as he showed up, I was like, I love him.
Same.
I feel his absence when he's not there.
Same.
I also love the way he walks in a walking scene of his. It's fantastic.
It's so good.
I was just so in immediately.
I know. I was glad that he was back.
But back at Originals Killing Camp, Stefan is giving a tutorial on the various plans, basically giving us the rundown. The Originals are still linked. We only need to kill one of them, and then they all die. Damon and Stefan are literally like starting to walk them through scenarios of how they could do it. They pull in Elena to make her play Klaus.
Yeah.
And it's the classic. Rebekah's the target. Caroline gets to distract Klaus, and Caroline's like, why do I always have to be Klaus bait? And Damon says, because he's obsessed with you.
Duh,
obviously. And then Damon has Caroline end up playing Rebekah. Matt gets to be Rebekah's distraction. They've got a whole thing.
They've got it all figured out.
And Damon tells him, like, basically just keep her talking. And Matt's like, how? And Damon's like, just act interested. She's lonely, desperate. Literally, everyone's so mean to Rebekah all the time. But Caroline comments, clearly she slept with you. And even Elena laughs at that one. They like exchange a look. There's lots of like smiling, laughing kind of vibes going on here, surprisingly, for how like serious of a situation it is. They're all enjoying themselves.
Definitely.
Also love that everyone is like, we all know Klaus is obsessed with Caroline and Rebekah's obsessed with anyone that'll give her 2 seconds of attention.
I know.
Known facts, known weaknesses. But so Damon instructs them on like how to grab Rebekah, what they're all gonna do, and like Caroline is complaining about having to be grabbed and whatever is playing Rebekah. And Stefan comes in and imitates staking her, and like they're taking this all very seriously, going over like what exactly could go down. And Stefan tells them like, we all will have one stake. They're gonna like distribute it so they each have one. They're gonna keep it hidden and like basically just look for any opportunity they possibly can to take down one of the Originals. And Damon says, no last minute attacks of pity for any of them. And he looks right at Elena very pointedly, obviously. She's the one like 2 episodes ago that was like, no, don't kill Elijah.
Yeah.
But Elena's like, don't worry about me, not after what happened to Bonnie's mom. And Damon asks Barbie, meaning Caroline. And Caroline immediately agrees, saying anything that will free Tyler from his sire bond to Klaus. And then Damon says, busboy. And Matt is like, do I have a choice? And Damon's like, good point. Moving on.
Yep. We're all in then.
So Stefan lays it out. We have 12 stakes, 12 shots at killing 1 original. We can do this. Then he rallies them into another scenario, like, let's run it again.
Yep.
He hands Elena a crossbow and is like, Matt, you get to play Klaus this time. They're so crazy for this.
I know.
Little, like, originals killing boot camp in the woods.
I know. They're running through all the scenarios. It's so
I bet,
funny.
like, Matt's like, can this count for gym credit? Like, somebody sign a paper.
Yeah, probably.
So
yeah,
funny.
true. Yeah, Stefan, can you compel our gym teacher to take this as
they might
credit?
as well have done this at, like, a paintball course.
I
then,
know.
Like, let's make it realistic. But,
Yeah, they're
it's
having
just
fun
so
with
funny.
it.
I mean, it works, obviously,
does,
as we will
clearly.
see. Like, they are really, truly working out, like, they've
Any
learned a lot
chance.
about the originals at this point, and they are really working out any chance, anything
Yeah.
that could screw them up, just anything to think about, and, I mean, we see how that plays out, so.
Yeah, definitely. For now, we see they've brought Finn back to Mystic Falls. We see Finn just fly into the foyer of Klaus's mansion. And Rebekah and Klaus follow him in. They obviously, like, threw him in there. And Rebekah tells Klaus to gather your witch. Like, let's get his blood and get on with it. And Finn is like, you can't force me to help you. And Klaus, of course, is like, oh, I most likely could, but why force when I can persuade? And he does, like, a little, like, Vanna White gesture
Yeah.
to the staircase. And we see Sage walk down the stairs. And Finn kind of looks at her, and they, you know, greet each other, say each other's names. And Sage smiles, and Finn rushes over to her, and they embrace.
Yeah, big romantic reunion.
Yeah, a little reunion. They seem happy. And Rebekah's like, what do you know? True love prevails. And at this point, Klaus gets a text from Cole saying, let me know when I'm needed. And without, like, looking up, he's not paying attention to Rebekah at all. He responds to what she said about true love and says, it does occasionally have its uses. Then he writes back to Cole with, like, a stylus message. I will.
All caps underscore.
Yeah.
Sends it as a
Exclamation
picture.
marks. Yeah, sends it as a little picture. I love this.
It's one of the most iconic things that's ever happened.
It
to me,
really
friends.
is.
We get tagged in this clip at least once a week. I really think, like, once a
Probably,
week.
yeah.
Constantly people are DMing this to us. I love it. Keep sending
I
it.
love it. Yep.
It's always funny. It's one of the most iconic product placements the show's ever had.
It really is.
Because who's ever done that? Also, I feel like people always say to us that, like, oh, it's so lame, it's so out of character, it doesn't make any sense. I'm
It's
like,
the most in character.
this makes so much sense. Like, I'm
I do.
almost positive Klaus would actually do this. Like,
I think so,
sans
too.
product placement.
Yeah. No, I do too. It's just so funny. It's so,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you can picture Cole getting it too, and, like, he's been in a box for, like, 100 years, but he's still, like, ugh, lame.
Yeah, he's like this boomer ass. Yeah.
Like, I feel like Cole would get it immediately, but Klaus would be like, I love it.
Yeah, he'd be like,
send-
this is amazing.
He'd constantly send texts with, like, the shaking filter. Like, I just feel like he's that type. Imagine
definitely
Klaus
is.
sending, like, the personalized emojis that look like you,
Oh,
the emojis
no.
or whatever. I feel like he maybe would. I feel
I
like
think he
maybe
would. I think he would.
But yeah, that's the energy Klaus gives me. Sorry.
No, that's so true. But anyway, Klaus says to Rebekah, you know, like, getting Sage involved and, like, trying to get her to want Finn to stay alive is easier than torturing him.
Yeah.
And Rebekah says, like, you know, I have something to do. Like, what do you need from me from this spell?
Mm-hmm.
And Klaus just says, like, just your blood and your blessing. And he asks where she's going. And Rebekah tells him, I have some unfinished business with Damon Salvatore. Ask Sage what he did to me. Then you'll understand why retribution is in order.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves, and Klaus kind of watches Finn and Sage.
Yeah. So to Damon Salvatore.
Yeah, to the retribution.
Yeah. Damon's at his house, at the Salvatore house, and he's like down by his fireplace, and he's putting his white oak stake, the one weapon that can kill an original, in a pile of firewood.
Literally wood meant to be burnt.
Yeah, he's so dumb.
Which-
We talked about this last episode.
Yeah.
Maybe it's smart, I don't know. But also why he's dumb. Alaric is standing right there watching him do this. So I'll say it again, he's dumb.
He's dumb. He's so dumb.
You each get one thing to hide. Why would you not keep it secret regardless?
Yeah.
And then second, why would you do it in front of the guy that actually has a secret personality? That it's just so risky.
I know. It makes no sense.
But Alaric comments on it and is like, did you learn nothing from the moonstone in the soap dish?
Yeah,
like,
come on.
Which we talked about that at the time. Catherine definitely figured it out because she knows Damon's mind.
Yeah.
But I feel like at this point, Klaus kind of does too. So
True.
maybe not the best. But anyway, Damon's like, why? Where'd you hide yours? Obviously, he thinks he's so clever for this.
Yeah.
But before Alaric can answer him, they hear a really loud noise downstairs. And Damon gets up asking, like, what the hell was that? And he, like, leaves the room going down the stairs. And he, like, turns around and suddenly he sees Alaric get thrown down the stairs, like, hits the wall, falls to the ground, full force. The way he lands, you do see his hand to, like, remind us that he has the ring. So clearly, like, if that somehow killed him, it didn't, he'll be back anyway.
Yeah.
But either way, he's fine. And Damon, like, walks up to him, obviously being like, Rick, like, what happened?
Yeah, what's wrong?
And he, like, looks up the stairs, doesn't see anything, and, like, turns around, and suddenly Rebekah is there, and she stabs him in the stomach with a knife and says, hello, lover. She's crazy.
So good. She is crazy. But also, how did he not see this coming? Like, how did he not
thought
expect
Rebekah
that
just
she'd
be
want
cool
revenge?
with this?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, he was really crazy.
What he did was such a betrayal. Like,
evil. I would say it was
truly,
evil of him.
no, yeah, truly.
Sleeping with her for information just to steal it from her head. Literally crazy. Any woman would do this to someone for this.
Yeah, no. I don't know how he didn't somehow see this sort of coming, but anyway, in the town square, Elena is still trying to call Bonnie. Obviously, as we've been saying, no one can get a hold of her. And she says, like, please just call me back. We're worried. Call me. Call Caroline. Like, anyone, please. And then she hangs up and walks up to Caroline and Matt, who were obviously talking about Alaric being the serial killer.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, because Matt is like, he was the most normal guy in town. Even though he was a vampire hunter from day one, but okay.
Yeah, lost a good one.
Yeah, we lost a normal one. And Elena asks them, like, is it weird Bonnie's not returning my calls? And then Matt is just like, is it weird that Klaus's brother is in the middle of the town square?
I love the way he delivers that line. It's so funny.
He's funny. And they all look over and see Finn walking with Sage. And Elena says she thought that Finn left town. And Caroline pushes her hair behind her ear to do her vamp hearing.
Yeah.
And she listens to what they're saying. And Sage is just saying, like...
She's rizzing Finn up.
Yeah, she's rizzing him up. She's like, can you guess why I dragged you out here? And Finn is like... well, if memory serves me, this is where the natives used to make sacrifices to their gods. And Sage is like, this statue was built where we used to rendezvous back when you used to have to sneak away from your siblings to see your, and she does like a British accent.
Yeah.
Tawdry lady friend. Like, I don't know.
She's rizzing him up.
She's going so hard.
She's putting everything she's got into this.
She really is. And then Finn is just like, you know, I assumed after 900 years you've moved on. He has the ick. We all know it. I would too.
He kind of does.
He definitely does. And Sage just says, like, I took care of myself, but I never stopped loving you, Finn. I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will give her 900 years is very committed, but she's a little crazy.
Too much.
She's a little crazy. Yeah.
She's more than a little, I'd say.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who don't really want to move on.
Yeah.
At the Salvatore house, Stefan enters and he gets a call from Elena. And she's telling him about Finn. She, like, mentions that he was in the town square and he was with some sort of ex-girlfriend or something. And Stefan's confused. Like, the guy's been in a coffin for 900 years. What ex-girlfriend could he have?
Yeah.
But he pauses and he realizes it has to be Sage, obviously. And Elena tells him that they have an opportunity right now with Finn. They should do it. And Stefan's like, listen to me, Elena. Do not do anything. Sage is very old, very strong. You do not have a chance against her. Not him running boot camp and then being like, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Back off, back off. I don't know. But anyway, Elena's like, well, get Damon and get down here then.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Stefan, like, doesn't respond to her because he finds Alaric on the stairs, obviously injured, can't get up. And he asks him what happened, and Alaric tells him Rebekah happened.
Of course.
And Stefan relays this to Elena that they have a problem. So
yeah.
Pieces are coming together.
The problem? The problem. Rebekah is clamping bear traps around Damon's wrists, which the bear traps are also suspending him from the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's
Don't
not
never
looking
piss
good
off
for
Rebekah.
him.
Never. Also,
yeah, no.
We have to be saying this is the ballroom from Dangerous Liaisons. We see this room 2 times. The ballroom, like the dance, and Damon getting tortured in it, which is crazy.
Yeah, this room has seen a lot. But anyway, Rebekah's, you know, saying she found the bear traps in the shed. Like, who would do this to a poor, defenseless animal?
She's crazy.
She is. And Damon said, just is like, kind of joking, you know, you've got to admit, even for me, it's a little kinky. And Rebekah picks up a knife from the table, like, near the wall, and then goes over to Damon and says, you pretended to be interested in me, and then you slept with me so your trampy friend Sage could steal my thoughts. Ever since then, I've felt this incessant need to one-up you. So I've decided to bleed the vervain from your system. Ugh. And she rips his shirt open and like slices his chest with the knife. And he kind of groans in pain. But he's like, you want to compel me to be your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Still can't help himself, even though he's
literally in the worst position he possibly could. Anybody else would be like, let me go, I'll be nicer.
Please. Yeah, I've learned my lesson. No,
not at all.
And Rebekah's like, actually, I'd rather compel you to kill your brother or Elena. And you see, like, Damon's face gets a little bit, like, serious.
Like she's being
like,
serious.
Yeah. And she says, like, since vampires heal, this might take a while, so we should probably stick to the major arteries. Then she slices his, like, carotid artery.
Yeah.
And he starts bleeding more, and then Klaus comes in and is like, wow, look what you've caught.
He can't resist a comment.
If you're trying to bleed him of vervain, don't you think it would be easier to hang him upside down? Rebekah is like, I'm perfectly capable of inflicting pain. Thank you very much. And Klaus is like, well, excuse me. It's not like I have any expertise in the matter. And he like rolls his eyes.
Yeah, he makes like a little sarcastic face at Damon, kind of like, sisters.
Yeah.
And Damon like does a face back like, tell me about it. Like, why did they have a little jokey moment about Rebekah's torture methods?
I don't know. Funny. Joseph Morgan got a few days off and he came back refreshed.
Yeah, like, he was like, I'm ready.
He was like, I got this.
Yeah.
Rebekah just tells Klaus to like go manage his witch, like leave her alone.
Yeah.
So he kind of like grins and walks off, and then Rebekah turns back to Damon and is like, where were we? But then we see where Klaus walked off to. He enters another room and is like, tick-tock, I should hear chanting by now. And then we see Bonnie is in there reading a grimoire, and she says she's still studying the spell, like she's not sure she can do it. It's not that easy, the unlinking spell, especially when she's under duress like this. And Klaus just says, you've been warned, and if you're looking for a way to send help, I'll kill anyone who comes to your rescue. So we know, like, she's gonna do this unlinking.
Stuck.
Like, she's stuck. And Bonnie, again, says she's not sure if she's strong enough, and Klaus tells her she should have a little more faith in herself. And then Klaus moves towards Bonnie, and he says he doesn't think she's trying very hard, but very well. And then he pulls out his phone and calls Cole and is like, how's the weather out there in Mile High City? How's our friend? May I see him? And he walks over to Bonnie and holds up his phone and shows her a video of Jeremy playing with his dog. Mm-hmm. And Klaus says to her, there's Jeremy playing fetch with his new puppy. Oh, isn't that just the most adorable thing you've ever seen? And then he like goes back to talking to Cole and is like, we'll be in touch. Hangs up. And he's like, so Bonnie, how about that spell?
Ooh, yeah, classic Klaus threatening.
Yeah.
I love, he does this all the time when he threatens people, but I loved it in the scene. He always gets like an inch from their face. You know, and it's like right next to each other. Like him and Bonnie were looking at the same video and he was just like right next to
there.
each other.
Yeah.
No space, no like room to breathe. It's a great technique of his.
Yeah, very menacing.
But going to a awkward scene, I would say, at the Salvatore house. Caroline comes into the library where Alaric is lying on the couch, and she tells him that she's there to check on him. And she shows him the bottle of herbs that she brought, saying, you know, that Alaric needs to drink it. And he comments, like, how it's so disgusting. And she says how it smells bad, you know, whatever. And Caroline replies that, you know, it's either drink that or kill people. So... And she says that Elena told me everything. And Alaric just looks at her and, like, looks away like he can't really look at her because it's so awkward. He obviously feels so bad. And Caroline sits down and he finally says to her, I am so sorry. Like, I don't even know what to say. And Caroline replies, right after I turned into a vampire, I killed someone. A stranger. I just killed him. And what's worse is I liked it. I have blood on my hands, too. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
And Alaric says, yeah, but that blood on my hands is your father. And Caroline says, yeah, it is. And maybe the guy I killed was someone's father too. Look, all I know is I'm no better than you. So I'm going to take a page from Elena Gilbert's handbook and choose to believe that you can be saved. Okay? And he replies, okay. It's so awkward, but it's so...
I know.
It is well done. You know, you have to address it.
Of course. Yeah, you can't just, like, leave that...
Never answer.
Yeah. No. But also, I just have to say, the guy she killed could have been someone's father. He was flirting with Bonnie.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Excuse me. I mean, he could have been. But like,
yeah, he was like Bonnie's boo thing.
Yeah,
for
he was
1 second. So
yeah, they were like trying to make it happen. I don't even know. I just thought that was a weird thing. Like, I feel like they should have gone, he was someone's son. Like, I feel like that.
That's true.
But I don't know.
He could have been someone's father.
Could have been.
It works for the conversation.
It does. It's fine.
It is funny being like, oh yeah, he and Bonnie like had a moment. Like, but we said in that episode he looked way too old for her.
That's true. He probably was 30, but he could have been a father, but should have been steering clear of Bonnie, but whatever.
Either way. It's fair that Caroline's sort of apprehensive about him, but is also understanding to be like,
yes,
we've all done things.
Yeah, we've all been there. I'm not here
to pass judgment.
Yes, definitely.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, outside the grill, obviously, Finn's still around, Elena trying to get something going. Elena walks up to Stefan, who's standing outside looking at his phone, and she asks him how Alaric is. And Stefan tells her, like, he's just banged up, he'll be fine, Caroline's going to stay with him and make sure that he stays Alaric instead of Dark Alaric. And then he says, Matt texted me, Finn is still in the grill, we need to plan our next move. Like, they can't lose this opportunity. And Elena is like, wait, Rebekah has Damon. We need to find him. That's our next move. And Stefan tells her, no, we need to stay on point. See an original, kill an original. That's the plan. And Elena is like, yeah, before Damon's life was hanging in the balance. And Stefan says, look, Elena, I understand you're concerned about my brother's life, but if he even knew for 1 second that we were talking about missing a chance to kill the originals, he would lose his mind. And Elena throws it right back at him and is like, yeah, and if the roles were reversed, he would stop everything to save you.
Yeah.
Which, so true.
I think it's true, too.
No, I think it's so true, too. And I feel like this was actually a really good call out to, like, kind of highlight how she's kind of started to fall in love with Damon and, like, why. And kind of like you were saying a few episodes ago, like, how much Stefan really has changed, because even the Stefan of season 2 would also do anything to just go 100%. Save him.
Yeah. And now he's so blinded with like anything to stop Klaus. Doesn't matter who suffers the consequences.
Even Damon.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. He has changed so much in a way that I think intrinsically makes it hard for Elena to see him the same.
Yeah, definitely. But Stefan continues and says, I know what my brother would want. And Elena tells him that what he would want, because it probably is true, that is what he would want.
Yeah.
But what he would want and what we should do are different things.
Yeah.
And Stefan is just like, are you helping me with this or not? And she just kind of like gives him a look.
Yeah, it's like come on.
Yeah, just shocked. And he just says like, okay, fine, I'll figure it out myself. And he leaves.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously such like a...
Yeah. I will say in Stefan's defense here, his logic isn't completely wrong in that by killing all of the originals in one fell swoop, Rebekah's removed. What could Damon be in where, they can find him after they're all dead?
Yeah, I agree.
But obviously what ends up happening is why that's not a good rationale to follow.
Yep.
Because, like we already talked about, Elena is right. I think that Damon would have stopped everything to go get Stefan.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, no question.
Interesting. So we should check in on Damon being tortured at the Mikaelson mansion. Damon is weak, still in the traps, hung up.
Yeah.
When he hears somebody come in and he sees somebody come into the room, they get closer and eventually it's Elena. There's this magical overhead dream-like lighting. Should be an obvious indicator this isn't real, but this scene really fooled me the first time I watched it.
Same. I was like, she
went
rogue.
She went rogue. She just made a guess and went for it. But yeah, obviously, as rewatchers, we know this is not what's happening.
Unfortunately,
Elena, Damon instructs her. She opens up one of the bearer trap things to let him go, and she holds his body up while she gets the other one to finally free him. He's too weak to move on his own, so Elena is fully holding him up. And they walk out of the room together and down the hall. And Damon is falling over, and Elena's trying to urge him on to just keep going. And eventually they make it into the parlor, and Damon collapses on the floor, and Elena falls down next to him, and she grabs his face, and she tells him to look at her, and she's saying, I'm not gonna leave you, Damon. And then she holds her wrist to his mouth and tells him to drink. And he just stares at her as he bites her wrist and starts to feed, and they're just looking at each other. And we've heard so many times how blood sharing is a very intimate thing, and you can see that here. After a while, he of course stops and just looks at Elena, and he moves towards her, and their foreheads touch, And the lighting changed, and we go back to reality. Damon is still stuck in the trap that was all like a vision. Rebekah's right behind him, and Damon says, "Oh, you bitch." It's like when you wake up from a really good dream just before like a really good thing happens. But so classic. The classic fake out. Yeah. Rebekah giving her visions for evil.
Yeah.
And she asks, "It's not fun when someone messes with your thoughts, is it?" Kind of fair. He kind of deserved that, at least.
Yeah, he did. No, a little bit.
And he was like, "Well, I was having a pretty good time, actually." And he asks, "I couldn't have hurt you that bad. You didn't really think I had a thing for you, did you?" And Rebekah kind of does look hurt by this.
I think so
she
too.
does look offended. And he goes on to say, "I get it. If Klaus bossed me around for 1,000 years, I'd probably be pretty desperate for attention, too."
He can't help himself.
I was going to say, Damon loves to dig his own grave.
He really does. Oh.
Because, of course, the response to that is Rebekah stabs him in the stomach and he starts screaming.
Yeah.
Because, of course, like, that is deserved at that point. He just can't stop.
I know. Yeah, he doesn't really handle all of this well.
No.
He doesn't handle any of this all that well.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. But anyway, he screams. And, of course, Bonnie is just, like, in the other room. And he hears that and turns around and is like, What was that? Yeah, what was that? And Klaus is like, "I wouldn't let it bother you, love." And Bonnie's like, "Well, it does bother me. You bother me. You use people to get what you want, and it's not right." And as she's saying this, "You bother me," Klaus makes just a subtle little gesture where he kind of like, video watchers can see. He just kind of like points himself and it's like, "Who, me?" Like, he doesn't say anything. Like, it's just a little gesture, and it's not, like, overdone or anything, but it's so good.
He's, like, playing.
Yeah, he's just having fun with it. Yeah. And then he kind of monologues at her a bit and says he knows things for her have been rough with Abby leaving and everything, but he can help find her and bring her back. He has people who can do that. Or, if she chooses, he can bring back just parts of her, implying if she chooses, meaning if she doesn't do the spell.
Yeah.
And Bonnie kind of pushes Klaus away from her, but he says, "Isn't it obvious? I'm just going to continue to hurt the people you love until you do the spell. Now, I know it's in the grimoire. I know it requires the blood of my siblings, so here we are." And he grabs a case and opens it, and he's like, "Elijah, Rebekah, Cole, Finn," like pointing to all of them. And then he bites his hand and holds his like bloody clenched fist like he always does. And looks at Bonnie as the blood is kind of dripping from his fists and asks her where she wants his blood. And she takes a beat. She's just like, it's just shocked. She's like, "I don't even know. I don't even know." And she kind of turns back towards the table and just still kind of in shock, grabs like a chalice that she had and holds it under his hand to catch his blood. Poor Bonnie.
Crazy.
She was really rethinking everything. She was like,
she
really "How did we end up here?"
Yeah. Because first of all, why does Klaus have like a custom case for carrying his siblings' blood? There's also like way too much of it. Bonnie definitely just needs like a little bit. And it's just like like a huge like, I don't even know what size, but too big.
Yeah. Well, he probably has some for like, I don't know, any other time he might need a spell.
Backup blood. Yes. Just so funny. And the way he just immediately bites his whole fist. It sounds like he's biting into an apple. Crunch he gives. It's so funny.
It's so good. He's crazy.
But on to the other crazy Mikaelsson sibling. Well, one of 5.
Yeah.
Finn is at the Mystic Girl now with Sage, and they're sitting at a table together. She is shocked to find out he's never had tequila before. Don't know when it was invented, but like I would imagine everything's weird now. Water.
Yeah, wine, I was gonna say you don't get sick just from drinking water. So it's probably
nothing's the same.
Yeah.
The first time we saw a Brita filter, he was probably like, "What?" I want it straight from a stream or nothing. So yeah, I'm sure everything is kind of crazy to him right now. But they start doing shots, you know, they've got like the lick the salt, they're doing the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And we see Stefan is sitting at the bar clearly listening to them. Mm-hmm. So Finn and Sage are flirting, you know, they're still blah, 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 doing their thing. And a man comes up to them saying hi to Sage. And he walks away and Finn's like, "Who?" And Sage tells him that she turned that guy into a vampire since they're in enemy territory. He is obviously, like, offended. This is against his morals.
Yeah, I mean, this is Finn we're talking to.
Yeah, and she tells him, "When your brother and your sister called, I thought I might need a little backup. You can't trust anyone here." And, again, he's offended. But, like, Matt walks up to their table and reaches for their glasses, and Sage grabs his wrist, and it's like this weird, like, threatening moment. But she asks for 2 more tequilas, and he agrees and walks away. And Matt goes to Stefan's table next, and he grabs Stefan's empty coffee mug, but he also grabs, like, a little bottle that you can assume is vervain.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is part of the boot camp. They're putting their plans into motion here, while Finn is just distracted talking to Sage about the righteousness of creating vampires and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Their usual moral spiels.
Yeah, of course. And then we start flipping back and forth between the takedown plan and the unlinking.
Yeah.
We see at Klaus's mansion, Bonnie is starting the spell. We see her pouring one of the vials into the cup. We know it already has Klaus's blood.
Yeah.
Probably has
Klaus is obsessively watching over Bonnie. Like, every moment needs to be observed.
Not missing a moment. Then back to the grill where Finn is asking Sage how many people she's turned. And she says she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And she says, "Don't judge me, Finn. You turned me." And he says, "Yeah, I turned you because my passion overtook my morals." And Sage is just like, "My passions overtake my morals on a daily basis. It's called living life to the fullest."
Hater.
I know. I can't stand Sage. And Stefan is, meanwhile, sending out a text saying, "Get ready."
Yeah.
Texting the group chat. Like,
Yeah.
"Come on, guys. Get ready." And then we see Bonnie is still saying the spell back at Klaus's. Presumably all of the blood is in the chalice, and she pours it onto the table.
Things are happening.
Yeah, things are happening. Back to the grill. The waitress puts 2 tequila shots on Finn and Sage's table for them. And Sage is like, finally, even though it's been like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And Stefan gets up from the bar and leaves as Sage raises her shot glass to toast to living life to the fullest. And Finn, like, raises his shot glass to cheers her, and they clink, and he says to living life. And then Sage laughs, and they drink their shots. But suddenly, they start, like, gagging and spitting back their drinks.
Yeah.
Sage is like, "What the hell?" And Finn realizes, like, and says, "Vervain."
Yeah.
Obviously. And then Finn turns his head, and they both see Stefan leaving, who kind of stops and gives them, like, a little look, like a very subtle
an
look.
obvious stare where it's like he's the one
that did it, obviously. Yeah. And then Stefan walks out that door that apparently, like, goes to the back alley, and Sage and Finn get up and go after him. Obviously they're gonna
go try to fight it out.
Yeah.
But obviously Bonnie's still going. The blood starts to disperse from the big circle into 5 different circles as Bonnie is still chanting. Clearly you can see visually, like, this is starting to work.
Yeah.
Back to outside the grill where Stefan is, like, hiding around a corner and Finn and Sage come bursting out of the grill.
Yeah.
And Stefan goes to stab Finn, but Sage grabs him and throws Stefan down to the ground, and the steak falls out of Stefan's hand and rolls down the stairs, the cool, like, stairs by the grill. And she, like, yells out to Finn, like, about the steak. And so Finn goes running down the stairs after, again, back to Bonnie at the Mikaelsons, where the flames are flaring up huge as she's, like, continuing the spell. And, like, again, the pool of blood is separating. It is becoming obvious that it is, like, becoming completely separate entities at this point. It's no longer even attached. And so, back at the grill, Finn is about to grab the steak off the ground when suddenly Elena and Matt burst through the back door. And Elena shoots Finn in the stomach with a crossbow. Clearly training came in handy. And Matt comes forward and stabs Finn with one of the stakes that can kill him directly in the heart.
Yep.
Sage obviously immediately screams and rushes down the stairs to Finn's side, where he's, like, kind of collapsed on the stairs at this point. And Matt and Elena, they popped out, they shot Finn, and they immediately closed that door back in. All according to plan.
Yep.
They covered this in training camp, obviously.
Yep.
And Sage just is crying as she watches Finn die, and she, like, strokes his face. And Stefan is, like, at the top of the stairs looking down, and he just leaves, realizing it's worked. And Finn's whole body catches fire. This is the first time we've seen, well, I guess we saw Michael, yeah. But yeah, like, it still, like, does the whole thing where it catches on fire, completely bursts into flames, and he dies, and Sage has to, like, back up against the wall and continues to sob. It's this great, like, wide shot they go to of his body just burning and her just sitting there sobbing.
Yeah.
Imagine waiting 900 years for a guy, and the first day you're reunited, he dies. That's crazy.
That's so tragic. But if anyone deserves that to happen to them, it's Sage. I hate her.
And also
worse.
Finn. Also, just imagine Matt.
I know.
Matt being the one to kill you. Also, just imagine Matt being your waiter. He probably went right back to his shift after that. He was like, I've got glasses to clean.
Yep.
I've got busboy things to collect.
He's got bills to pay.
Yeah. So he did that, and he was like, I'm back from my 5.
He clocked out for it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Poor Matt. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they lined it up with his break purposefully.
Yeah. He got the win that day. It was worth it.
He did. Yeah. But anyway, at Klaus's mansion, we see Bonnie has completed the spell. The pools of blood are separate. And we see, like, you know, it's focused, the camera's focused on Bonnie for a second. And then we see Klaus is, like, perfectly fine and just standing there. So obviously, like, it was completed before Finn got stabbed. Yeah. And then later we see Rebekah comes out of the room where she's torturing Damon, and she's, like, wiping blood off of her hands. And Klaus is escorting Bonnie out of the house, like, walking by that room. And Rebekah says to Bonnie, leaving so soon. And Klaus tells Rebekah to be nice. So Rebekah is like, thank you, Bonnie. See you in physics class. Yeah. Like, putting on a sweet voice.
I forgot anyone knew school existed.
I know. I was like, Rebekah's probably the one that cares the most about school.
So true.
And Rebekah smiles and walks away. And the way she was standing, she was kind of blocking the room. And when she steps away, it reveals to Bonnie that Damon is in there, still in the bear traps, like, bleeding out. And Bonnie is like, oh my God.
A normal reaction to this sight.
Normal reaction. And Klaus just says, you'll have to excuse the mess. Apparently Damon hurt her feelings. And Damon tries to weakly, like, talk to Bonnie, say her name, like anything. But he kind of just, like, groans.
Yeah.
And Klaus is like, go on, help him. Save the man who turned your mother into a vampire. And Bonnie kind of thinks for a minute and, like, looks at Damon again. And it's just like, just get me out of here. Like, I just don't even, I don't have it in me to really. Yeah. Which, I understand she doesn't want to be the one.
Also, they're not going to let her actually just walk
out. Probably not.
It's a taunt. Like, what is Bonnie going to do?
Yeah. And she's so defeated in this moment, as we'll see in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, Klaus is just, like, very well and, like, escorts her out.
Klaus loves clowning around.
I know. He
loves being a little jokester.
He does. He's so brutal to Bonnie, too.
Oh, my gosh.
I feel so bad for her.
But back at the Salvatore house, the people who don't know if their plan has gone the way it was supposed to go, Stefan and Elena come into the library. Elena immediately asks how Alaric is, and Caroline says that he's okay. He drank his herbs, and she just sent him home. I was like, we're just letting him go now? He doesn't need 24/7 eyes?
What?
They really don't get it yet. They really do not get it. But anyway, Caroline's like, oh, did it work? Like, did you guys kill Finn? And Stefan's like, well, we killed Finn, but, like, we don't know until we see Klaus's body. Like, obviously, Stefan's like, I won't believe it till I see it myself. And Elena gets a call from Bonnie right then, and she reveals that Klaus has Damon, that she saw Damon there, and, you know, it wasn't good. And Stefan immediately snaps his head up in attention, like, listening to Bonnie's call. And Elena grows tense, like, hearing this news, as Bonnie tells them Klaus is alive. And Elena tells her, like, Klaus should be dead. They just killed Finn. But Bonnie reveals that Klaus forced her to do a spell that unlinked all of the siblings. Hence, he's still alive. They're all still alive.
Yeah.
And Stefan's face hearing this news.
I know.
He's pissed.
He's not happy.
He immediately grits his teeth. Like, obviously, it's like, Klaus won again. Klaus is one step ahead of them again. Like, by, like, seconds, literally.
Stefan has sacrificed he let Damon get tortured for nothing.
Yes, actually. So anyway, Caroline is obviously also hearing this, looking worried. Elena does not, nobody's happy at this point.
Yeah, no.
And so, you know, they're like, let's focus on Damon at this point. But Bonnie tells them, like, it's bad. Like, everything is bad. Klaus threatened Jeremy. Klaus threatened Abby. Like, this is all not good. Bonnie is choking up. She's obviously so upset. And Elena's like, are you okay? And Bonnie's like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And just hangs up on them.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything that just happened there is just, like, not good. Nobody feels good.
No.
Everyone's upset. And we cut to a quick scene of, like, Bonnie outside the mansion. And she's, like, up against a car. And she just, like, slides down to the ground and starts sobbing. Poor Bonnie is so alone in this and just so tired.
I know.
I just need to sit down and cry. Abby abandoned her, and then immediately she has to save her life, and then Jeremy's not even there anymore, and she's still got to protect him. And I don't know. It's really just like
this
she's
is
in a bad spot.
Yeah.
She's in a bad spot. But everyone's kind of in a bad spot right now, as we'll see in the next scene.
As we'll see. No one having a good time. Stefan is furious. He's going to go, I don't even know, try to kill Klaus. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And Elena tries to follow him as he's leaving the Salvatore house. And Stefan tells her to stay there. Like, he'll call when it's over. And Elena is like, stop. Like, he's stronger than you. We need another plan. And Stefan is like, we just need him to be dead. And she grabs him and turns him around. It's like, Stefan, you're acting on anger. Stop. And he tries to say anger will get things done. But she's like, or it'll get you killed and Damon along with you. And Stefan is still just he's so back in his revenge. Like, he just wants Klaus to be killed.
One focused mind, yeah.
Yeah, one track mind. Yeah, he's like, Klaus doesn't get to survive this, not after everything he took from me. And he storms off and slams the door behind him. And Caroline comes in and is like, I miss well-adjusted Stefan.
I bet you do, Caroline.
Yeah, I bet you do. And then suddenly the door flies back open. We see Stefan flying through it, much like Finn flew through the foyer earlier. And we see Sage storm in saying ding dong.
Yeah, she looks sickly too.
She looks ghastly. She looks not
ghastly.
Well. And Caroline goes to like square up and Sage just like throws her out of the way.
Caroline's like 2 years old. Sage is 900.
Yeah, she just like knocks her out of the way and is like, I'm not even here for you. Yeah. I'm not even dealing with this. And Elena tries to run out, but Troy, the vampire from before that talked to her and Finn, Sage and Finn, like blocks her path. And Sage approaches Stefan and Stefan tries to be like, I had to kill him. Like, I didn't have a choice. And Sage is like, oh, good. You remember me. And then she kicks him across the house practically. Yeah. And she's like, good. Then you remember I like to go all 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And then she starts to cough and her nose is bleeding. So Stefan like gets up and Sage tries to punch him, but he catches it and just like flings her back onto the ground. So she's obviously getting weaker. And she starts coughing up blood.
Yeah.
And tries to like get Troy to help her. So he rushes over. But he ends up bending over and coughing up blood too. And they both just start to desiccate and die.
Yeah.
Like,
out of nowhere, they just die.
Yeah, they just die. Like, they're coughing up blood and then you see like the desiccating veins. Yeah. And we see what must be like, a few minutes later. Damon is still strung up. Yeah. Elena, Stefan, and Caroline are trying to figure out what just happened.
They just showed up and died.
What? They just showed up and died. And Elena tries to say maybe they were bitten by a hybrid, but Caroline's like, no, it doesn't look like that. Then Caroline throws out there, maybe Sage was so in love with Finn, she died of sadness.
Yeah.
And Elena's like, but what about Troy? Like, it makes no sense. And then scientist Stefan.
Classic.
This is how we know he's going to come back from this. He's back from this. He realizes it's the blood. The bloodline. It has to be. Think about it. Finn turned Sage. Sage turned Troy. They're all part of the same vampire bloodline that originated with Finn. And Caroline is like, wait. So when an original dies, every vampire turned from their bloodline dies along with them? Because that would mean... And Elena finishes her thought saying, if all of the originals die, so do all of you. The entire vampire species would be dead. Like everyone. Every vampire would die.
Yeah. Big reveal.
Huge reveal. Huge plot twist. Brilliant to throw that in there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. This changes everything.
It really does.
It changes everything. We'll have so much to say in like the next couple episodes about that, so not even need to get into it. But like these three, dream combo of figuring stuff out. All three of them love to like kind of get into something and figure something out.
Yeah.
But also I just have to wonder, the Salvatore rug cleaners, they must get business.
They really
They've seen something.
They've seen some crazy blood stains.
Yeah, they really have. Because I can't imagine they're just throwing them out. They're definitely getting them cleaned.
They must be.
Being like, ask no questions. Get a big tip. Yeah. So interesting. But anyway, I'm sure the Mikaelsons have cleaners of their own based on the situation going on with Damon. Yeah. He's still strung up in the traps. Mm-hmm. And Stefan comes in with a duffel bag. And Damon jokes, this was much different in my head. Obviously alluding to the Elena dream. Yeah. And Stefan starts like yelling out for Klaus and announcing that he's there. Mm-hmm. Eventually Klaus and Rebekah do come into the room and Klaus is like, oh good, a hero. He loves him. And he asks, what do you want? And Stefan drops the duffel bag with the stakes at like Klaus's feet and says that he wants to make a deal. And Stefan goes on to explain, 8 stakes made of white oak, the part of Wickery Bridge that you forgot to burn. Klaus turns to Rebekah, looks at her, pissed, obviously.
Not happy.
You said you took care of this. Like, you're going to hear about this later. Mm-hmm. But Rebekah's immediately like, that's impossible. And Stefan's like, actually, it's not. Finn's dead.
Finn's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, just drop that on them. And Rebekah's like, you killed my brother? And Stefan just looks to Klaus, obviously focused on the Damon of it all, and he proposes, Damon in exchange for the last 8 weapons that can kill you. And Klaus asks, how do I know there aren't more left? And Stefan claims there aren't. He's just willing to play that game always, chicken. But Klaus knows this game better than anyone. He practically invented this game. And he says, let's be certain, shall we? And he walks over to Damon and tells him, leave. Damon's like, no. And Klaus again tells him, leave. No, really, like, walk out. And Rebekah's like, Nick, he's my plaything, not yours. Yeah. But Klaus grabs Damon by the throat and compels him. I said, go home. So, of course, he has no choice now. Damon starts to pull a wrist from the snares, pulling the flesh off of his, like, hand in the process. Mm-hmm. He is screaming in pain, and Klaus is just, like, happy with himself.
Yep.
Klaus is the perfect villain. He is so good at playing this, like, game of, like, proving a point. And it was, you know, lucky that I guess Rebekah was bleeding Damon out all day.
Yeah, really lucked out. I feel like Stefan should have seen that and been like, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So obviously he could compel Damon to be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not looking good. But at the Salvatore house, Caroline comes in from outside and Elena's just sitting on like the floor cleaning stuff up. Obviously things got knocked over in the fight. Mm-hmm. And Caroline says she was on vampire disposal, which is not her strong suit. Mm-hmm. And she asks where Stefan went. And Elena says that he's trading the stakes for Damon's life. But that they're not actually going to trade all of the stakes. They're going to keep 3 of them so that they still are able to kill the originals that didn't sire them. Yeah. And Elena like starts trying to talk through the bloodline. You know, Caroline was turned by Damon's blood. Damon and Stefan were both turned by Catherine, who was turned by Rose. But unfortunately, they don't know who turned Rose. Mm-hmm. And Elena says, if the odds are in our favor, hopefully it won't be Klaus, and then we can still kill him. And Caroline suddenly looks very worried and stands up to explain to Elena, even if Klaus didn't create our bloodline, we know for a fact that he turned one of us. And Elena also realizes, oh my God, Tyler. If we kill Klaus, then Tyler will die. Rachel's like, kill him. But this is a great incentive because it is an for half the group. Like, Damon doesn't care. Stefan doesn't even really care.
That's what makes it hard. It's like, Caroline kind of has to, like, rally people to get on her side. Like,
100%. Especially since Tyler's gone all the time.
Yeah, he's not even around.
He's really not part of the team in the same way that the others are. But, yeah, this bloodline plot generally is so brilliant, like we already mentioned. The mystery around who sired them and trying to figure that out. The certainty that Klaus did sire Tyler
at least
no
one
matter
of them.
what.
Yeah.
So, it's just a great setup. It's a really interesting story. And I'm excited in the next episode to, like, further explore that one.
Yeah, same. But before we can get there, we obviously still have Damon still pulling himself out of the traps, still not even out of them, when Klaus is like, you know, he's tortured him enough. It's just getting disgusting. So he's like, stop.
Yeah, he's literally laughing. He's like basically laughing at Damon, like, oh, that's enough.
Yeah. Stefan looks disgusted, but yeah, Klaus is like laughing and he just tells him, stop before you hurt yourself. Yeah. And he says, well, seeing now that you can be compelled, and then he grabs Damon by the throat again and compels him, saying, minus the stake that's in my brother, how many stakes are out there that can kill me? And Damon, it almost feels like he is trying to fight it, but he definitely can't. He's so weak right now. And he just eventually says, 11. And Klaus is like, 11? Really? So not 8 then. And Rebekah is like, you really shouldn't have lied, Stefan. And Stefan is just like, I'll get you the other 3. Like, he knows he fucked up.
He's so over it at this point.
He's like, I just want to be done with this. And Klaus is like, yeah, that'll be nice. Or since you lied, maybe I'll just compel your brother to chew his tongue out.
Oh, Klaus. He's been on too much of a roll today.
He really has. And Stefan is just like, what is wrong with you? And Klaus doesn't miss a beat. He's like, what is wrong with you?
I'm so offended.
He's so offended. He just keeps saying, like, do you really have no appreciation for me? I have given you someone to hate, to loathe, a target for all of your anger, so you don't have to turn it on yourself. I have given your life purpose as your friend. And he kind of laughs to himself, and because I think he knows this is such a ridiculous thing to be saying.
Yeah.
And he's like, I really think you should be thanking me. And Stefan rushes at Klaus, pins him up against the wall with a stake that he has on him in his hand. And Klaus just grabs his wrist and is like, step down or you're both dead. And Stefan kind of just loosens his grip on the stake, and Klaus takes it. And he's like, well, there, at least now you only have to get me the other two. Like, you know.
Why would Stefan keep his on him to
I
go
don't
there?
know.
Doesn't
I
make
guess he
any
thought he
sense.
might get an open shot. I don't know.
But anyway, it's also so funny. Someone in the writer's room was clearly watching The Dark Knight. They were like, Joker and Batman, that's Stefan and Klaus. Like, it's the inspiration is so tight.
They have such a dynamic in this episode. I love it, though. But anyway, Rebekah is like, this is ridiculous. Obviously, she's done with this too. And she walks over to Damon and releases him from the traps. And Damon falls out to the ground. And Klaus walks over to her and is like, what are you doing? And Rebekah tells him, like, I brought him here. I get to release him. It's my rules now. Bring us the stakes and you both live. Take your brother as a sign of good faith. And she grabs a duffel bag full of stakes and walks out. And Klaus looks at Stefan and says, bring us the stakes, all of them, or I will wage a war against everyone you love. I hope I'm being clear. And then Klaus leaves. And then we see later, after Stefan and Damon have left, Rebekah and Klaus are still in the parlor. And Rebekah says, I can't believe Finn is dead. And Klaus just says, good riddance. He was an embarrassment, Rebekah. And Rebekah is like, mind your tongue. He's still your brother. And Klaus is like, fine. Let's all say a prayer for Finn, who slept in a box longer than he lived as a man. He was a lovesick fool. He's better off in death.
Oh, boy.
And Rebekah is clearly not happy. She's like, is that how you would speak of me if I died? And Klaus obviously is just not happy about, her letting the Salvatores go, and with potentially stakes that could kill them. But Rebekah says, they might fight like dogs, but in the end, Stefan and Damon would die for each other. At least they know what family means.
Yeah.
And she accuses Klaus of destroying their family. And Klaus says, I wanted a family. They just didn't want me. And now we're unlinked. We're no longer responsible for each other. And Rebekah asks, so does that mean he's leaving then? And Klaus says, as soon as he gets his stakes, he's gone. He's going to take Elena, use her blood to create a new family of hybrids. And Rebekah asks, and if I choose to stay? And Klaus tells her, then she's just as pathetic as Finn, and leaves. Obviously.
Oh, Klaus.
He also, kind of like Damon, can't help himself but burn these bridges.
Yeah, that's true. Dig a hole deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klaus continues to metaphorically and physically stab Rebekah in the back constantly.
Yeah, truly.
Really is crazy. The good riddance on Finn is so funny, though.
I know.
They picked the sibling he'd be least bothered by. Any of the others,
That's
I
true.
think he would have had a very different reaction. But Finn, he's in a box 900
whatever.
years.
Yeah, he barely knows him, honestly.
yeah, comparatively.
Truly.
But anyway, of course, the reactions to this on this Team Salvatore side, at the Salvatore house, Stefan is sitting in his room holding one of the stakes, and Elena comes in, and they exchange, highs. And Elena comments that Stefan hasn't said much since he got home, and Stefan says, oh, I'll be a ball of sunshine once Damon gets Alaric's stake back, promise. And Elena tells him that he scared her today. He wouldn't have survived if he actually went against Klaus alone. And Stefan tells her, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And she asks why. And Stefan says, because he's not worth it. All this time and energy that I've wasted hating him, it was for nothing. It's done. It's over. We lost. I'm right back where I started. And you know what? I think this is growth. Not the whole we lost it part, but the realizing that it's pointless. This has come a long way for him in the last 4 or 5 episodes.
Even since the beginning of the episode, he was so fixated on it earlier.
That's true. But of course, Elena calls out that isn't true. That Klaus might have dragged Stefan through hell, but Stefan still beat him by being better than him. And Stefan asks, but what did I lose in the process? The unsaid is obvious. He lost Elena. Mm-hmm. And Stefan gets up and he walks towards her and he tells her, look, hating Klaus was easy. It allowed me to ignore everything that was happening around me, everything I let slip away. Now I have to deal with that. And Stefan tells her to admit it. He says, I know you don't owe it to me, but I just need to hear you say it. And she says she can't say it. And she says she can't say it because it isn't true. And she says, I never stopped loving you. And he says, I know that. I know you didn't. Even though I did everything possible to push you away, it's my fault. It's all my fault. This is all my fault. And Elena asks, like, what he's talking about. And Stefan says, I'm talking about the fact that you're also in love with Damon. Elena tries to deny it, but Stefan, he gently, like, caresses her face and moves closer towards her. And he says, I love you. I will always love you. I just want you to look me in the eye and tell me that you don't feel something for him. And Elena really hesitates. Clearly, she can't say it. And instead, she says, I don't know what I feel. And Stefan drops his hand from her face, and without saying a word, he grabs the steak and just leaves the room. He looked so heartbroken. Even though he asked for it, even though he knew the answer,
but
it still broke his heart to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, Selena's, it's like Selena's most romantic moment all season. Like, this really moved me for Selena in a way where I was like, I kind of wish, like, it could work between them, because there are things about them that work. But
I know.
Clearly it can't. And, like, this is this huge acknowledgement for the first time in such a point-blank way that, like, he does still love her, but Damon loves her too, and, like, acknowledging that to her. Stefan and Damon have talked about it, but I don't think anybody said anything to Elena.
No, I don't think so.
So this was such, I don't know, I really, really liked this scene. I thought it was really interesting.
No, I did too. I know, this did really make me be like, I do kind of root for Selena in some ways.
Yeah, I at least feel bad for them in this. Yeah. You know? It's such a sad place to be.
Yeah, and it really does feel like they didn't really get a real chance. Like, they had it pulled away from them. They did, and now forced out of their hands.
Yeah, now it's just it's messed up. It's far convoluted. Gone. She's moved on. Oh, sad.
Yeah. Anyway, again, can't end on like a too sad of a note. Yeah. More of like a
yeah.
At Alaric's apartment, Damon shows up. Alaric lets him in, and Damon immediately is like, I need your steak. So Alaric goes over to his bookshelf and starts like pulling back some books and says it should be right behind the books here. But it's clearly not there. And Alaric is like, where is it? And Damon is like, ha ha ha, look harder.
Yeah.
And Alaric is like, no, seriously, it's not here. So they start searching through the other shelves. Damon is like, maybe you just forgot which shelf you put it on. And Alaric is like, no, I didn't forget. I put it right here. A steak just doesn't vanish into thin air. And Damon is like, well, who else did you tell about it? And Alaric is like, I didn't tell anybody, Damon. I'm the only... And then he realizes, I'm the only one who knew about it. Me and Dark Alaric.
Why Alaric's the only one that gets that he's got a Jekyll and Hyde situation, I don't know.
But. Yeah. And Damon is like, no. Are you telling me that your vampire-hating alter ego has a stake that can kill an entire line of vampires, possibly mine? And Alaric just says, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
Oh, such a good like twist at the end there. Dark Alaric with the stake that can kill a whole line of vampires is crazy.
That's wild.
Like, this is brilliant story escalation. It's just so artfully done.
It really is. It's so good.
Also, I love that Alaric hid his stake in the bookshelf. I feel like that's a classic Alaric move. He does that in Legacies. Like, I'm almost 100% sure in Legacies he's always hiding stuff in bookshelves. Like, it's such an Alaric thing.
That's good.
Whereas Damon was like, a bookshelf, really?
Yeah.
My spot was clever.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You hid a piece of wood in a pile of wood. I don't know if that's
I don't really call that clever, but sure.
Yeah, it's more like ironic, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So, we'll obviously see how that unfolds over the next several episodes, pretty much through the end.
Yeah, through the end. Yeah, it is the end.
Yeah, but for now, for this episode, let's throw it over to you guys. Let's hear from our voicemail host.
Hey, first off, I love your guys' podcast so much, and I've been watching all of the episodes alongside you guys. The originals mansion is so pretty, and I love Klaus's foam pen. It was so funny. And speaking of Klaus, he looks amazing in this episode, and him and Bonnie have so much chemistry. But Klaus and Caroline will always be my favorite couple. I love Alaric so much, but Matt Davis just makes me see him so differently. And Faith, I love when her and Finn talk about the natives gathering, and as much as I hate her, I felt so bad for her in this episode. Anyway, my out-of-pocket is Stefan thinking he could kill Klaus, and my song of the episode is Shame and Fortune by the Yeah Yeah Yeah. Also, how far along are you guys in Legacies, and is Rachel liking it? Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you to our voicemail host. to answer your question, I love Legacies, but we've only watched 6 episodes of the first season, so a little bit underwhelming. Probably not the answer you were hoping for, but yeah, I do really love it so far. We've just been really busy and haven't gotten to watching much, and when we are watching TV, it's Vampire Diaries. So yeah, but hopefully we'll watch some soon, and we'll let you guys know when we watch a few more, definitely. But yeah, anyway, be sure to call in for next week, especially, obviously. Gosh.
The next 4.
Yeah, the next 4.
If you don't have something to say about the next 4 episodes, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I have no idea. But for this episode, to wrap it all up, our in memoriam section, our smallest but our biggest. Our smallest but our biggest, because who knows? Obviously, Finn was killed directly by Matt.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy in and of itself. But then Sage and Troy and anyone else that was sired from Finn's bloodline, presumably sired by Sage. Because it seems like Finn
seems like he only ever turned to Sage, but she said she turned lots of people.
Yeah,
so I'm sure she's got thousands of
probably at
branches.
Least but yeah, everyone that was in Finn's vampire bloodline is now dead. So I don't know if those count as like Matt deaths or are magical deaths of the season. I would say
magical.
Okay.
Magical.
Yeah, we don't want to be giving Matt.
Yeah, Matt suddenly has the highest kill count ever. It's really crazy.
True. But, yeah, so sort of just Finn, but then, everyone else by magic.
Yeah. Next, we've got our out-of-pocket or would have done differently. My out-of-pocket, I feel like, has to be... Well, there's 2. First is everyone just being so casual about Alaric. Caroline just sending him home.
Yeah.
The boys setting up a whole steak-making factory in his locked-down apartment.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like, nobody giving him a steak... Damon letting him see where he hides his steak. Like, they were just so uncautious. Murdered multiple people. I'm like, that is out of pocket of them, that they were just like, it's fine. It's Alaric.
Yeah. No, I think that really does it for me. There wasn't a ton that was out of pocket for this episode. So,
well, the other obvious one is Matt being the one that killed Finn.
That's true. That was the one that I had in the back of my mind. I was like,
that one is
it could just be Matt being the one to get this kill shot in.
It's so crazy.
In what world?
I mean, it's perfect. It's really funny.
Perfect. I think it could be either.
Yeah,
both
either
are
one.
Good. Maybe Alaric. I really feel like it's crazy how much they're underselling them.
I would also say that is more out of pocket, where it's like, he's a killer. Yeah. Whereas Matt just is like, he was just lucky. He was the right time, right place. He went through the training camp. He was prepared. We'll give him that. We'll give him that.
And he did it while working.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll let him have it. Out of pocket goes to, just
Alaric. Everyone treating
Alaric like it's just fine.
Yeah. He's not a murderer.
Yeah. As for quote, I had quite a few.
I had a lot of quotes. This is a great quote episode.
Yeah. All of the dialogue, honestly. Yeah. I didn't really have like a winner per se, I guess, but I'll try to pick one. But I'll throw out one that I just really liked. I guess it'll be an honorable mention. I really loved when Damon said to Rebekah, "You want to compel me to be your boyfriend?"
That's so funny. He had a lot of good quips there.
He did.
I'm surprised he didn't make my best quotes. I have 4 from 4 different people, surprisingly.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
And Damon didn't make the cut for me.
Wow.
I did like an Elena one where she said, what he would want and what we should do are 2 different things. I thought that was very well said. It's not, the traditional funny quotes we like to go for. But I was like, when she said that, I was like... That's so right. And that's a really, that's a thought to live your life by, I think.
Yeah. No, she's right. I do like that quote, definitely. I did not go in that direction at all. I just had a few more funny ones. All of them, like Klaus, obviously. I feel like it probably was obvious the way I emphasized it when I said it. But I really loved when Klaus was like, he found out about the stakes. He was like, 11? Really? So not 8. You big fat liar. Yeah.
Yeah, so funny.
But yeah, I just loved the way Klaus said that.
Klaus was so brilliant this one. I also had a Klaus one, of course. Okay. My Klaus one was, well, excuse me. It's not like I have any expertise in the matter. Rebekah torturing people.
His face, too.
Yeah, it's the delivery. It's really Joseph Morgan that makes that one work so well. But it's so funny.
I know. If I could just nominate all of his facial expressions from this, I feel like
he killed it.
He killed it. Yeah. You finish yours then, because I have another one, and it's just Klaus.
Interesting. So. Okay, I have 2 more, which... Okay, so the next honorable mention I would say for me is Alaric at the start when he says, "Did you learn nothing from the moonstone in the soap dish?" That's iconic to me.
That is iconic. I really like that.
I did have for me, a clear winner. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is the winner.
Okay,
so then... I'm surprised you don't have it.
Okay, so then let me just say mine, because maybe you'll probably persuade me, and I'll probably go with whatever you say. Yeah, you really do. But the other one I liked for Klaus, it's like kind of like sad and like not even great. I just love when he says, "Let's all say a prayer for Finn, who slept in a box longer than he lived as a man." Because of you, Klaus.
Yeah, like, what a eulogy to give your sibling. He's so crazy.
He's wild.
Klaus maybe should have been out of pocket for this episode.
He should have been. Some of his dialogue was outrageous.
Yeah, it really was.
But in a good way.
Which actually, in response to that, was my favorite quote from Rebekah.
Aww.
When she says, "The Salvatores may fight like dogs, but in the end, they would die for each other."
That's true.
Quote kind of sums up the show for me. Like, that
it really does.
Is the show.
That's true. No, you've already persuaded me just by saying it. I do really love that. And also, it really does stand out in my mind. Like, yes. I can hear her saying it. Like, it's so true.
It's such an impactful moment. You know, it's like a lot of these I really like. I love the Lark with the moonstone and the soap dish situation. But that's the quote you hear and you're like, I've seen that in countless edits. I've seen that, you know, represented in so many ways throughout like the Vampire Diaries like fandom and community. Like, that's like so integral to what the show is. And I think it's interesting that like Rebekah was the one that said that to Klaus, because the originals, I mean, they do sort of embody that too in a way.
But in a different way.
And not at this point for sure.
No.
But yeah, I really like that one. The Salvatores may fight like dogs, but in the end, they would die for each other.
That's true. I do love that one. So that's our quote. That's a good one.
Rebekah gets the win for best quote. That might be a first.
Yeah, rare Rebekah win for quote. Yeah, love that. As for song, this one was hard. There were
a lot of good songs.
3 like prominent songs. I think maybe just 3 total.
I think there's 4.
Okay, I only had noticed 3, so. But I will say I didn't have any like winner, I guess. Like, I would
interesting. I had a clear winner.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like you can guess what my winner is. If you've watched any other episodes, I'm sure any of you can guess, because I've said so many times how much I love this band.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I know.
But I had an honorable mention as well.
Okay. Well, I had, I guess, an honorable mention. I guess my 2 honorable mentions are the song that plays at the top of the episode when they're like cutting all of the like steaks in they're using the saw, and they're just like, I don't know, it's just boys mode. Demons by Sleigh Bells plays, and it's just like a fun like rocky vibe. It's just fun. So I like that one. I feel like I could give that one an honorable mention.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
I do love those sort of rock, we're taking things seriously moments.
Yeah, it was a strong opening too. Like, it just had a vibe.
It's a strong opening. Always gotta go with a girl song moment. I love a girl song moment. On Your Way by Alabama Shakes.
Yeah.
Alabama Shakes is a fantastic band, obviously. Have to shout them out. This is when Sage and Finn are at the grill and Matt is like watching them. So I thought that was a great song. Had to call it out.
I think so too. Okay, then I definitely know what your winner is. Yeah. Because, well, one, I don't even know the other song. And I will say I would probably go with this song just because I also love this band. But I'll let you say it because it was your winner.
And I love, it's always an originals moment too.
Yes.
This one was Shame and Fortune by Yeah Yeah Yeahs, which plays when Rebekah is torturing Damon.
Of course.
I've said it multiple times. Anytime it comes up, I love Yeah Yeah Yeahs. They're one of my favorite bands. They're always in my Spotify Wrapped. I love them. So as soon as I heard the song, I was like, let's go. Anytime the originals are down to business, it's a Yeah Yeah Yeahs song.
I know. I know. It almost feels like their score. Like the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
They use them so often. Yeah. Especially in originals, too. But we've gotten some great ones so far of them with their music. Yeah. So I
think that's a good one. Easy winner.
Love it. So we'll be adding Shame and Fortune by Yeah Yeah Yeahs to our Best Song of the Episode playlist, where we have every single winner of Best Song from Season 1, Episode 1 till now. And we also have a playlist specifically for Season 3 where there'll be every single honorable mention and every single winner from every episode so far of Season 3. You can find both of those linked in our various bios and descriptions, as well as our Instagram and our TikTok, where we post all sorts of fun clips, memes, polls, edits, all sorts of stuff for you to get involved and to join the little TVD and TRD fandom.
Yeah, and if you've made it this far, you already know what to do. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch the video version on YouTube if you want to do that. See some of my trying to like mimic Joseph Morgan's gestures. Nowhere near as good, but might be funny. So yeah, join us next week for Season 3, Episode 19, Heart of Darkness.
We're about to enter back to back episode.
Banger after banger after banger.
So I hope you're locked in, because this is about to be crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and or listening to this one. Bye.